podcast. My name is Nathan Cheatham. I'm here with Bob Long and the great Bob Harris. I gotta say, I've heard of the Between Two Ferns, but Two Bobs, I think, is the name of this episode. So,
Like it.
guys, how are you doing? For those that are out there possibly tuning in for the first time, we are looking for send us your questions about the expo. Directed towards Bob, any one of us, but I do want to give a little time to, go around and introduce each other. And let's start with our guest of this show, Mr. Bob Harris, of Footballguys, of Legend. Introduce yourself if you don't mind.
I am Bob Harris, and you are in a challenging position, stuck between these particular Bobs. There are many people who would flee the scene, Nate. So, good on you for sticking around for at least through the start of this thing. I've been around for a little while. I've been in this industry since 1993.
And Bob
NFL radio as well. I am an original expoer. I go back to the first expo, and before that to the Kings Classics, when it was nothing but the Kings Classic drafts. And it's been an amazing kind of journey watching this thing kind of grow and develop under the guidance of Mr. Lung over the last few years, and turn into a much bigger thing each and every year. And it's been really cool to see, and I love being a part of it, and love being a part of this industry, of course. And it's great. There's a lot of events you can do, and a lot of things, industry kind of things you can do. This industry thing is my favorite thing because it puts me in contact with both the audience and other content creators doing what I do. And, I'm not like a business person per se. I'm just like to make stuff and
Nice.
Talk and write and do things like that. And it puts me in, direct contact with many other people, often people I'm looking for to do those things for me. And so I just think it's a great position, a great place for me to go. And I love everything about it. I mean, the way it's been set up has been great. So that's me. I am Bob Harris.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on for this first episode of this live show. We've got some questions already piling up, but before we get to those, let's talk to Mr. Consistency himself, Mr. Bob Lung.
Yeah, thank you. And we're honored that Bob is here. And as Bob said, he is one of the OGs. There aren't a lot of them that showed up in 2019. Him, Jorge Edwards. There was a few. I mean, Nate was there.
Not the first one.
Oh, you're right. You weren't the first one.
I was in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah, but we've had a few. As Bob mentioned, it kind of all started with the 2018 Kings Classic, which kind of kicked off this whole idea, and then we just added the Expo weekend to it. And like I said, it's still a dream to me of how and what this has become. And with Bob's help and many other people's help, it will continue to grow. And I'm honored and excited that it's something that people want to come to every year.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. I came in 2021 right after COVID that first year, and look, I just wanted to get outside after spending
that's what everybody wanted.
So long indoors, and I fell in love with the community. My eyes were awakened to just the people that you can interact with in these live events. Soon after, Scott Fish started his live drafts, and I just can't get enough of that. Drafting in person was the first time I did it in 2021, and so that was really incredible. So that's what caused me to fall in love with the expo. But I'm curious to hear a little bit more about that 2019 year. Mr. Harris, if you wouldn't mind, kind of walk us through what was going on? What was the mood? I mean, you walk into the expo now and it's just, you've got mass amounts of people, big crowds, moving between Canton, going to George's. Were you guys, I mean, I know it was a little bit smaller, but were you guys binging at night at George's as well?
No, George's didn't come into play until later. Originally we would all go, it was just for the Kings Classic. We would all go at the NBC Suites. We'd pretty much hang out there, or Buffalo Wild Wings. right? There
Mhm.
was like basically two locations. The Embassy Suites had an excellent shuttle at that time. They would haul us all over the place, wherever we wanted to go, and it was usually
Mhm.
that one place. And we'd go do the thing at the Hall of Fame, the drafts, and
Mhm.
then we'd kind of hang out, and everyone would filter out shortly thereafter. So it wasn't a big deal. The first year of the expo, I don't think anyone knew what to expect. And it was at a community center. What was the name of that place, Bob?
It was actually the cultural center. It's where
Cultural
they
Center.
usually, yeah. So it's more of an artsy kind of place, but it fit the role. It had a little hall that we could with a stage, and we could do our panels and stuff. But yeah,
I don't think anyone knew what to expect that first year, right? Like, and so when expectations are low, it's easy to outperform, and I think it's safe to say that this way outperformed expectations. I don't think like there were a number of us there with tables and booths, and tons of people doing podcasts from that location, and there was a big room at the beginning where we all sat in and did a bunch of drafting and had a good time. Met a bunch of people right off the bat. People
hmm
that I still consider friends. Chris Allen from Fantasy Life was one of the first people I sat down with there, and I can remember the Dynasty, the DLF guys there were there. Dickens and Ryan McDowell. A
hmm
lot of people though, right? Like way more than what we were used to for the Kings Classic, which was just basically the group of drafters, and it was pretty cool. And then we went and sat in our little hallways with our tables, and lo and behold, people started showing up. And I don't want to say we were overrun by the throng, but it wasn't like nothing.
Right.
And I felt like it was like I can remember being there, and like one of my great traditions for all of these is interviewing Bob at the end and making him cry.
Yes.
And
He's like Rich. What was his name?
the what was that?
Roy
Well,
Firestone.
right.
Yeah.
So, and it was really easy that
Yeah.
first expo because it was really, man, he put so much work into it, and I know, all the work
Mhm.
that went into it, but without knowing what the outcome was going to be, and
Mhm.
without, just like total unknown of is this going to be a total failure or is this going to be something that maybe we can, build on, and it was the latter for sure, and just like
Mhm.
the relief, I think mostly for Bob, and finishing up the day on one of the panels, it was like still a pretty good crowd. We were getting good questions, and I was going, yeah, this might work. And sure enough, and then like a lot of credit to Bob for every year pushing it a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further, and every year there are enhancements and new things and all the associated shenanigans that now go along with it. The parties, the
Mhm.
bar events, the karaoke's, and all those things that have kind of
Yeah.
risen up over time. That's all been great, and that's a lot of that, like, yes, it has to be organized, but it's the people who show up and take part in it and kind of drive it. I mean, like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
there is a contingent of people who enjoy going out to the nightclubs and such like, and
And,
Yeah.
and so
playing wiffle ball in the streets.
right,
I love that.
it's a good time, or jumping on tables at hotels, whatever it takes.
Mhm.
There's going to be something going on. So yeah, it's just like it's been a fantastic evolution to be part of. That first year at the DoubleTree, the big exhibition rooms and stuff, it was just like, wow, this is turning into a thing. Who knew?
Mhm.
And then every year I'm kind of like more surprised that it's turning into more of a thing.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how it's grown. I'm very curious when you touched on the Kings Classic and drafting, and then starting to see people come through. Is that something you experience? Like you're a legend. You're one of the OG guys. But like when you draft, is it usually at home in your PJs on the laptop, or like do you ever have a crowd?
It depends. I mean, now with the proliferation of the Scott Fish Live drafts, but I mean also Jake Seeley's Flex League drafts, and I
Yeah.
and so up until very recently, magazine production was a big thing, and it kept me from going to Jake's, and I always felt horrible about it, and not just because I wanted to support Jake and what he's doing, because I do, but also because there's a group of people, right, that otherwise you don't get to see. So I maybe one of these years soon, I'll try and make a point to add Jake's. I'm doing his online version, and that's how I do
Mhm.
most of my drafts. That's how most of us have come to do drafts over time. So the Kings Classic had kind of become the one thing, the event that was timed out right, that I could get to, and there was a great group of people. And it was a fun setting, and doing a draft at the Hall of Fame was a really cool idea. And so we really enjoyed it. And being the fear of relegation is always it's you pay a little more attention. Like we're all in a lot of leagues. I think in a league where you're going to get drummed out into a different portion is probably a pretty good. It's usually a little higher on my radar than other leagues I'm in, let's say.
Right.
Probably not high enough, though. I need to do better. I have only scored one championship over the years, and I would like to add to that. Came very close to a second, very close, but no cigar. But that's great. I think like the essence of all these things, right? Like of anything like this kind of event is the people. And from the expo, from the time it was just the King's Classic drafts, it was just a great group of fantasy experts and professionals who would show up and do these drafts. And it's grown, and that aspect of it has grown as well. But then you start throwing in just the regular content creators who started showing up as we got a little bigger. The listeners and viewers and readers of the sites and shows that we do started showing up. And, I have a favorite story, and I'll tell it here. Matt Waldman and I do a podcast that I cannot say the whole title of here, but it's Feel It or F It, right?
Yep.
And we just kind of kicking around players. Do you feel this guy or F this guy? I don't care. And so I'm there. I think it was the first expo at in the dome.
Okay.
2 years ago, was that?
Yeah.
2 years ago, and this young lady walks up to me with her. I think she was there with her father, and she walks up and she goes, "Bob Harris." I say, "Yeah." She goes, "Calvin Austin Jr. Feel him or F him." I just go, okay, right? Like you just get this connection with the audience, and you realize, wow, people are out there paying attention to this nonsense. And also they enjoy it, and they enjoy getting a little time with you to pick your brains a little further. And that's always been to me, like this job, we're preaching to a choir, right? We're like what I do, what Bob does, what you do with the content and stuff. It's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of energy. And our entire audience sits out there and says, I could do that. And you know what? They're not wrong. They could do this if they had the time and the circumstances were right. And they made it work for them, because we're all fantasy players, right? And I think that's, that natural connection with the audience who are us, right? Basically. And so just like getting that in person is a great feeling, and something that I, probably my favorite part of the whole thing is just out there, people walk up and start talking to you, and they know what you do, and they pay attention to what you say during the year, and you're just going, wow, I didn't know people actually listen. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so I do want to get some of the questions that are popping up. We've got the first one here from K Lest on YouTube. Let's show it. So he's asking which sites are going to be able to choose a rep for the 2025 Fans Classic. Mr. Lung, would you mind giving the background, giving the context, and answering this question?
So the Fans Classic this year, well, we're doing two things. One is a qualifier for folks to be there in 2026. But for this year, to have our first ever Fans Classic in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, drafting right beside us, is we're going to have many of the top people pick their favorite fan. And Mr. Harris will be one of those people picking his favorite fan to represent him in the first ever Fans Classic in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Others will be Howard Bender, so Fantasy Alarm, Jeff Manns, Jeff Ratcliffe, Dave Richards, Andy Behrens, Marcus Grant, JJ Zachariason. I'm probably missing some. Doug Orth. I mean, there's many of them there. Matt Harmon, those kind of. So we hope to get 12 to 14 of those guys to pick their favorite fan to represent them in this year's Fans Classic. And then whoever wins will get to sit side by side with their expert at the 2026 Kings or Queens Classic. So, Bob, have you thought about how you're going to make this determination?
Not really. I have not given it a lot of thought. I just want to give a shout out to our friend Tootsie Pop out there in the chat. Hi, Rachel. How are you? No, I guess I need to start giving that some thought. Had like obviously there are a lot of people there that have kind of become regulars
Mm-hmm.
that I favor. I might have to start considering which of them are the really good fantasy players and work from there. I think that's going to be the thing, and I some come immediately to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to really see some sort of a fan content competition where they have to do like a TikTok dance or
Or
something,
Oh
and then
video
no,
or something.
you judge that. That would be,
Or karaoke. There we could
mhm,
do that too.
a wiffle ball. I hear that's
Wiffle ball.
really
Well, we would need
really
Eric
good at the
Furton for that
expo.
one, but yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's really great, and just want to echo to make sure you get your entry into the Kings the
Fans
Fans
Club.
Classic. You can go to the Expo website, the Fantasy Football Expo.com, purchase the ticket to make sure you're in the qualifier, and then my understanding is closer to the beginning of summer is when
Hmm.
the ultimate or the fans will be picked.
Yeah, we're
And
hoping around June 1st so we can make sure that they're going to attend, reach out to them. And we will give that person who is chosen by each expert a free VIP weekend pass. So they will be able to come on us to attend the event and be a part of it all weekend long. So we're really excited about that. Bob, I wanted you to kind of talk about rumors that the Fantasy Football Expo is just for content creators when we know that is not true because we're all fans of each other, but we have certainly have scaled that. It might have been early on, but now we're down to about a 50-50 split. Obviously, we're making a big push for fans this year, but tell the fans out there, your fans, everybody's fans of whoever, that you don't have to be a content creator. This is actually for the fans as much as it is anyone. And we want more fans to come and not feel like, oh, well, they're just going to talk about content creation, and that's far
right.
from the truth.
Like that's all. That's the least thing I talk about. Like right.
Yeah.
Like I do. Like I want to. I want to network with content creators and people who do what I do and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
the first goal is to connect with the people who are listeners. I mean, like who am I creating content for? Not other content creators, for
Right.
the audience, for the people who are paying attention, who are buying the product, who are listening to me on the radio. And I think being in touch with those people and hearing what they're thinking and getting feedback, as I mentioned, the first comment on the podcast I saw,
Yeah.
man, this is what I want, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a feedback directly from people instead of through comments or through email or DMs or tweets or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's that face-to-face connection that's really helpful in all things in life. You'll be surprised to learn, people.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, to me that's the bigger part of it. Like we're all doing things together, right? When and the whole crowd is together. Like, I don't know who every content creator is. I can't tell some of them from fans. Some of them are fans. Fans and all of us intermingle. We're
Mm-hmm.
all in
Right.
one large group. So,
Mhm.
it's to me, it's just like a big party of fantasy people who get
Mm-hmm.
together and have a great time. So I do think that's to me the important part. I've started to enjoy like at the King's Classic having a little peanut gallery in there of people watching
Mm-hmm.
and pay attention. Many of them are familiar faces, not content creators, but people who have started to show up over the course of time
Right.
and enjoy following the draft. And will take breaks. They'll come up and comment on your draft and let you know where you stand, things like that. I love that part of it. It's great, and it is like I mean, like if you're just showing up there as someone who has no interest in the business other than like I consume, you will be greeted, met, treated, and for all intents and purposes, you're just part of the group, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
it's just one large group. So I would view it like that more than I would separate it out. I mean, there are going to be a lot of us there who do this as a job. There are going to be a lot of us there who consume the content not as a job. And everyone is going to be in one big pool, walking around, interacting, and having a great time.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah, I love the camaraderie that is at the expo. It's like it's on steroids because there's so many people there, and you get little bits of it. When you go to like the live drafts, like I mentioned, it's Scott Fishbowl, but like those you maybe it's 100 to 200 people, but then you go into Canton and you got 1,000 people. Walking the streets, going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and that like all you have to do is you know walk up to anybody and ask like, "Oh, who are you drafting 101 this year? You know, who's your number one running back? You know, why are you skipping out on McCaffrey? You know, in the first round?" Those kind of conversations, it's like so easy. Like even if you're kind of like a not, I don't want to say antisocial, but like not a very social person, uh, you can still kind of be able to walk up to people and just start a conversation. It's there's a
Yeah.
lot of shared interests right there, and
No one is like looking and, oh no, here comes a person, I don't want to talk to them. There is none of that, right? I mean, it's
Right.
absolutely the opposite of that. And great comment in there from Sean Teague. I know everyone from the shoulder up. You'll see a lot of that because a lot of the fans, and I have a standard joke that I use on everybody: you're taller than your avatar.
Yeah.
And so, because they are,
Mhm.
but also, like, that's not just other content creators, that's the audience, right? They're out there on X, interacting with us or wherever it is on the social platform. So I think that's a really great part of it is just that being, like being in a large group of people who share the same interests. The same reason I got into this as a business or started it as a business was I sat down and I played the first season I played in 1986. I had this thought: I don't have all the information I need to do this right.
Mhm.
And I think everyone who plays this, that they feel this same desire to be informed and knowledgeable. They
Mhm.
want to, exert their knowledge and as in the form of power over their opposition. I think we all share that, that same vibe and that same desire and that same love of the game is what brings us together. So, I mean, it's not like you're sitting there talking to people, oh, I can't go approach that person. No, we're all
Mhm.
very approachable because
Yeah.
we're all there for the same reason. And I think the way this thing has, kind of turned into uh like people staying at various places. I mean, wherever you're staying, there are groups of people there that you're going to be doing things with, and you end up going out with people. I want to
Mhm.
say there's Angie in the last year. She ended up giving me a ride somewhere. I mean, like you just never know. You never know. No, who was that? Someone else gave me a ride. I'm sorry, Angie. Um,
Sorry,
uh,
Angie.
it was Roxanne and some.
Maybe it was
Anyway,
Roxanne. Yeah.
Angie was there though.
Yeah.
But right, like you're just like you're in a group and you're in a place and oh hey, just jump in the car and it's okay, let's go and hanging out at the parties and all that stuff in the hotel lobbies,
Mhm.
where many hijinks and shenanigans take place is a great part of the whole weekend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that was one of my first experiences with Scott Fish. Like, I met him at the expo in 2021, and I was, a little nervous. It was Scott, and I only knew him from Twitter and what he does with the the league. But he ended up needing a ride, and I had a car, and I was just like, "Hey, get in and let's go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame." And I gave him a ride, and that was, it's those moments that you create with people that are, you might see them as celebrities, heroes, or whatever, and that in transitions into like someone that now I see fairly regularly at events, and I know
Yeah.
I can just go up to them.
It was Gina Noble, just so I don't get myself in trouble.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
also, like every year that the Expo's been a thing, and even going back to Games Classic, the fantasy football couple themselves, Don and Sally Kurzian, they drive up to Cleveland. Ever since I started flying into Cleveland instead of Canton, they have driven up and picked me up and give me a ride down and take me around wherever I want to go in town. While I'm there, I think, what I say, 2 years ago, going back to Cleveland, got a car. Oh, and there's Mr. Scampers and Dame Overboard. Just a couple people wanted to ride up, jump in the car with me. I mean, it was just like, there is no barrier between
Yeah.
you and me, right? And nor should there be. It's a great time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think you bring up really interesting point here about traveling, and I want to transition us into advice for people coming in the first time, like quote unquote rookies coming to the expo, and how to get there, what to kind of focus on and do. First off, Mr. Long, I'm going to send it to you and say, like, traveling into Canton, what is your advice for, if you're outside of driving area?
I,
So, Yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on. I think the first thing I would check is there a in your area, your airport area, is there Allegiant or Breeze flying in and out? If they are, see if there's a direct flight to Canton, because Canton does have Allegiant and Breeze. So I know like Vegas does, all the Florida locations do, and so it might be a tad bit a little tad bit more expensive, but it shouldn't be bad enough because you can fly into Cleveland for cheaper, pretty much. But then it's $100 to Uber down to Canton. It's around renting a car is gonna cost you 100 or $200 too. So that's what you got to look at. And if you don't have that, then flying to Cleveland, it's always going to probably be cheaper. And then
Uber's not that much. Uber's
and
like
then then either find out, get on Twitter or get on our Discord. There's always a transportation thing there to share. Hey, I'm flying in this time. Maybe somebody else coming in with you. You can Uber together. You can get a car together. Whatever the case may be. But usually, most people will help drive you down if you're coming in with at the various times with other folks at the same time. So, Bob.
Yeah, so I have different experiences. I've fly to Canton for a few years. I would have to fly to Atlanta first and then fly in.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving can be an issue. It's not a very large airport, and if there are problems, you can be delayed. That's why I moved and just decided flying to Cleveland. It's just many more flight options. It's much cheaper. Also, having Don and Sally being available to drive me around makes that even easier. But even if it wasn't, I would still be happy to Uber in. It would be very easy. Steve, yeah, hate to see that.
We'll miss you, Steve.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, see you at the live draft though. Fishbowl, Steven. Anyway, but yeah, the travel for me is like the Cleveland has worked out to be much easier. Getting a Uber or a Lyft, going back up there, usually can split that with multiple people if you want. So there's Don Cursion in the chat, making my life very easy. Yes, I have. There might be a story to that. Which hotel has two of the same hotels?
Is it one? There's one on Hotel Hill that's got a north and a south. It's like
that one.
Oh, the Comfort Inn.
Yeah, Comfort Inn. I went to the wrong one one year. They dropped me off, and I'm calling them. Oh no! I go in. I say a reservation for Bob Harris. Who? I'm going, uh-oh. And then she says, there's another one of these hotels. I said, really? Okay. So I'm frantically calling Don and Sally, turn around. So yeah, the whole travel thing is for me has been much smoother going to Cleveland, only because I've had some delays. If something like I think the thing that flipped the switch for me was when something happened to my plane flying out of Canton, and they said, well, we've got to drive the park down from Cleveland. I said, well, hell, I'm just going to Cleveland from now on. And so, but that's just like, you don't want to get delayed when you're especially getting out of there where we've all got to get back to work and stuff. It just seems like a little bit more opportunity to make things happen correctly. So I'll continue to do that and happy to do that. And by the way, if you're there in Canton and you're saying, man, how am I going to get back to the Cleveland airport? And you see me, hit me up. I think last year we ended up with about 5 people stuffed in a lift. Erica Brown. Who else was with us? There was a couple. Jody Smith. There were a couple other people, and we loaded up there, and it was a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I know this year we will definitely be working on helping to coordinate Ubers and transportation between the Cleveland and the Canton Airport and the DoubleTree and just kind of getting things moved around. We weren't super successful last year, but we did kind of start really late. So we're going to try and start earlier this year. So look for that if you're coming. The other thing that people worry about with coming in for the first time is, and Tootsie Pops in the chat, she was someone who brought this up in the past. She came alone. She didn't know anybody, and she had no expectations of like, are people going to be friendly? Are they, am I going to have a good time? I've heard that a few times, and we've even had, some stuff come up in the past where people they're worried about that. So, I'll send this to Mr. Lung here. What is something that somebody can do to make sure that they have a good time and
Let
get
me
connected with
show
people?
up.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
I mean, I think the kind of an important thing would be try to get into the Discord channels. Follow it on Twitter so you can see people who are sharing things and pictures and ideas, and follow them. I think once you start seeing names and faces, then when you see them live, then you're like, oh yeah, I recognize, that's Bob Harris. Oh, that's Marcus Grant. That's Bob Lung. That's Nate Cheatham. And then all of a sudden they kind of know us a little bit. Discord's the same way. Watching all of these videos, whether it's these videos with the live or the interviews with the exhibitors, a lot of them are new folks. So, learning who they are, learn about their products, anything that you can do just to feel more comfortable. I'm hoping that with these, like this video, and we'll do other videos with other folks like Bob. We're looking at Scott Fish and maybe the fantasy footballers and stuff like that later on this year. Just talk to them about their experiences, their thoughts, but just do your best to introduce yourself online first. And,
Mhm.
and again, get some names and faces. And some of them may be avatars, and you're like, oh, okay, so this person is a
Yeah.
green goblin, and that's all we know.
Well, that's me in real life, but on
Yeah.
my avatar, I'm very attractive.
Yes.
I think there's like if there whatever concerns anyone might have, they're probably going to be alleviated the minute they show up at the
Hmm.
initial party. I mean, that's always like the big mixer event. Everyone's there walking around, playing games, having a cocktail if they're so inclined, watching people have cocktails as I am so inclined. It's a blast. So and everyone's there. And it's like the opening whistle, if you will, and
Hmm.
whatever concerns you might have had going in will quickly melt away once you've sat there and walk the circle, as I like to call it. Trying to work your way through the crowd and say hello to everybody and meet everybody. And
Hmm.
by the way, when you meet me, and I've met you before, I apologize in advance for not remembering that I met you, but I meet a lot of people. There's a running joke. Tom Brawley and we pretend we've never met each other now because, like, for the first 100 times I met him, I had no idea I met him. And I go, Bob, it's me, Tom. I go, oh yeah, my bad, right? Like it's just like there's so many people there, and it
Right.
moves so quickly. It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Right. Well, even
absolutely.
when you check in, my wife will be there probably. I might be standing there. Nate might be standing there. There's always somebody there to answer questions. We provide you with an app that shows you everything that's going on, where things are located. We try to make it as easy as possible, but I think the most important thing is just ask somebody. If they've got a lanyard on, they've
Yeah.
probably been there. And you can go, hey, I'm not sure where I'm going. Oh, follow me. It's right down the street. It's 2 blocks up. We're going to the Friday party. Why don't you walk with me? Hi, I'm, Bob Long. So yeah, I like Bob said, nobody is uh, never going to, you're never going to see like the stuff you see on Twitter. You're never going to see at the expo.
No,
You won't see any trolls. You won't see any people bad mouthing anybody. You won't see anybody tearing you down because you think this wide receiver is better than that that doesn't happen. It's just a bunch of people having a good time, enjoying, learning from each other, and that's what it's always been about. And I think that's what it always will be about, and without question.
Yeah, it definitely is, and for those that have bought tickets this year so far, you'll notice a new question that we added, which is this your first time?
Mm-hmm.
And if you mark yes to that, that's going to alert us, and we're going to do quite a bit of outreach this summer to
Mm-hmm.
connect with you if it's your first time. We're looking at putting together an opening event that will be about bringing in inviting those first timers, getting them into a group, trying to pair them up with somebody that's been there. Maybe a Bob Harris walks by, maybe a Scott Fish is there, or a Tootsie Pop could be there, and just to try and really get those first jitters out of the way. Let's connect you with someone that you can have a connection with and feel at ease at the expo. So very excited for what we're going to try and do from that standpoint. But also if you're looking for one of the first events, Kay Lest here talks about the Icebreaker Poker Tourney and how aptly named that is, and that's a Footballguys event that you can get your seat for, or if you don't want to play poker, you can pay to go to that. And there's a buffet, so you get food. There's the poker tournament itself, but it's at the M Bar, so it'll be kind of the first look at that location where we will also be having the Saturday party and
Draft
you
night
know
out.
draft night out. There's a lot of events happening at that location, but this gives a really good welcoming opportunity. And Joe Bryant and
Drew
Drew
Davenport.
Davenport.
Drew Davenport, thank you. They
Sorry.
put on such a great event, and I love going. I go every year to that since they've started doing it, and plenty of stories. But kudos to the Footballguys for putting that together and having such a great event.
Yeah, we drag a large contingent up there. I have not gone to the poker game. I'm not a card player, but I might have to visit just in case. Things move pretty quickly for me at the expo. There is one thing after another. I have a couple additional obligations, generally speaking, with Sirius and the drafts and Footballguys between all the things. And I like to make some appearances. And this year I have another obligation, Bob. Let's talk about this.
Talking about the meet and greet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things we added this year, as we mentioned, we're really focusing on the fans. And one of the things when we did a big survey last year at the end of the expo, one of the many, and it was brought up multiple times, was, hey, I'm not the most outgoing person, but I really want to talk to Bob Harris, Marcus Grant, Jeff Ratcliffe, but they're always surrounded because they're, so popular and everybody wants to talk to them. So would it be possible if we had like a special meet and greet for that with just them, that we could kind of have more of a one-on-one or few on one kind of scenario? So we added that, and it's part of the Ultimate Fan package. The whole thing was created to give people coming in, whether it's your first time or many times you've been here, everything is jacked up on steroids. So we've got the special meet and greet with all the top names. We have special merchandise just for the people who sign up for that. We have not only do you get a ticket to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you get a guided tour of the Pro Football Hall of Fame from one of the folks at the hall who will give you all the inside scoops about things and items that are there in the hall. We've got, of course, the Fans Classic that you become a part of automatically. We've got draft night out, you automatically become. So it gives you everything in one big package. But it gives you also a lot of exclusive things that you won't get because we're only selling 100 of these tickets.
Yep.
And that's it. When they're sold out because there's going to be 100 people talking to 10 to 15 experts. So we want to have it be, very, one-on-one, up close and personal. That'll be Saturday night from 6 to 7, right before the Saturday party there at Jersey's and the M Bar. Food and drinks will be provided. It's all part of the thing. So, Bob, that's, again, as you said, we always looking to improve things and make it better. We listen to the people. We want this to be what they want. We know you. I can talk and walk up to you and talk and never blink an eye, but not everybody's as ballsy as me, I guess. I don't know.
Well, everybody can, but not everybody does it. I'd like to change that a little bit. I think one of the things that I've enjoyed doing every year is that initial panel that you have where not only because I've looked really smart, especially the last 2 years with some of my spot on picks. I'm looking at you, Jameer Gibbs and Malik Neighbors. But also just like getting that first interaction with the crowd. And as it warms up, the questions start flowing and it takes it a minute, but that's like always been a bit of a highlight. So looking forward to that on a little bit more personal level And I can tell you, I'm like, if you see me storming around and you say hi, Bob, you're probably going to get a hi back, and I will spend a little time talking with you. But it isn't always convenient, right? Like if we're at the
Mhm.
big party or whatever, and there's 1,000 people,
Right.
I get drug a lot of different directions, and
Sure.
there's a lot of people want to say hi, and a lot of people I want to say hi to. So if you want a little more dedicated time, this is a little better way to do it.
Yeah, and we appreciate you being a part of it, and many, many others. Andy Behrens, Dave Richards, Marcus
Andy
Grant,
Barron's to heck
Howard
with that.
Bender.
I'm not. Can't have
Okay.
him.
Howard Bender. We're hoping Jeff
Great
Mans
group.
comes, Jeff Mans, maybe Fabiano. So we're hoping that all of them will be a part of this, and people can have that a little bit more personal time with them to ask their questions, and then after that they'll feel comfortable, and then they'll just stand over Bob's shoulder the rest of the time. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. And so if you're listening to this, watching this, and you're looking for where do I go and get that ultimate fan package ticket, go to the fantasyfootballexpo.com. Right as you land, there's a new fan experience package button. You can click on that and it'll take you to that page. And there we have three options. So there's ultimate fan, but then it does go down to a gold and a silver package. And what those are doing is just bundling some of those events like the draft night out and the Pro Football Hall of Fame ticket. So, go check it out, purchase that. And, the other thing that I want to bring up that's really new this year, and, this has been one of Bob's. And Bob, are you wearing the shirt? Are you?
No, I got the country one on.
Okay, you
See,
got the country shirt
Country
on.
Fest.
So we have more Expo merch and a Expo merch store that we launched. And Bob's, I swear he only wears one or two of the shirts
No,
every time
that's
I
not
see him.
true. I wear them all. He just every time you saw me. So one of them says Exponeroo. You're welcome. And then of course we have the Hard Rock one, Bob, which we need to send you. So we got to get you the Rock Show one. So it, very festival looking on the back. It's got the entire agenda for the weekend, and then all of the bands are all of
Appreciate
our
that.
experts. So Bob, of course, you're listed there in big bold because you're one of the highlights of the weekend. So if you're a fan of music festivals and fantasy football, we've got a Country Fest, Exponeroo, and we have the Expo Rock Show. So check out those shirts. Make sure you get one of those. Those have been selling really well. A lot of people are digging those. Trying to be a little bit like Scott Fish with having cool shirts, but not at the extreme level they come up with. But yeah, so we're definitely doing that. Bob, for anybody out there, again, whether it's first year, second year, explain to the listeners how they can get the most out of the weekend and maybe not feel overwhelmed. Maybe some tips of just how should they approach the weekend? Should they plan it? Should they be kind of flexible? What's your thoughts on now your years of coming and meeting new people? And what do you think would be the best scenario for people coming and getting the most out of the weekend, but also maybe not overwhelming?
I'm old. I like to have a plan. I think the plan for me is generally I like to go to the events, right? Like I think that's first and foremost. Go to all the events you can. Like in whatever you can fit it in between. And yes, there are things after, groups of people having beverages at local establishments or having dinner. Or there's great places to eat that are kind of become a little bit of traditions
Mhm.
throughout. All those things are great as well. And people will invite you to those things, but go to the events, go to the parties, go to draft night, draft night out, go to the Kings Classic drafts and hang out, and you're gonna find other things to do and ways to go. But for me, I like going to all the events. I like going to the initial party. The next day, I'm usually drafting most of the
Mhm.
day. Usually have some radio obligations. Then the big group, the big kind of exhibition hall day, I think is a great day. For me, like if I could only make one thing, that would be the thing because that's where everyone is in one place,
Mhm.
doing a single thing, showing off their wares. The people who have booths, everyone else is walking around, kind of just talking to people, having a good time. There's the various panels, tons of panels, multiple panels, sometimes multiple panels at one time.
Yes.
We're usually broadcasting live there from the Sirius booth there, and I end up doing a number of shows. So I mean, I think all that I like all that, but there are plenty of little niche kind of things, as you said. It's like easy to bury the lead here. You're at the NFL, the Football Hall of Fame, right? You can go spend a little time there. My first ever exposure to the Football Hall of Fame was my first trip for the Kings Classic.
Yeah.
Spent probably as much time roaming the hall as I did, drafting that first year. And I've checked it out a couple times since then. I think that's kind of the to me, those are the things that I like to do. Get the app, like Bob said. App's very helpful in keeping you abreast of all the things that are going on, where they're at, how to get there, when to get there, all those things. But those are the things I would focus on as a first timer. And then as you get to know people and meet people and talk to people, the other little sidelight events and other things that you can do to kill some time before you have to pass out and call it a night before you get up way earlier than you want to get up and go have a little breakfast. What's a little place by the DoubleTree that everyone loves? I love that.
Oh, I have some bad news about that.
Oh.
I think you're talking about Samantha's.
Yes.
We have just heard that Samantha's is closing March 31st.
Oh no, I hate to hear that. That was a tradition. The Bowers, Michael and Jenna would take me to breakfast every year, and so there's always we'll find another place. It'll be fine. But yeah, that was a fantastic place. But there's tons of places around there and around these hotels that kind of make up for it. It's more about the people you're doing it with than where you're going. But damn, Samantha's was good.
Yeah. There are other locations. I went to the Belden Village Samantha's, and that was just as good.
What's the sandwich place? The crazy sandwich place. I can't think of the name. I'll have to think of the name.
Delhi, Ohio?
What is it? Like, it's usually the first place in the Kings Classic days. I want to say I remember, like, I'll have to look it up. I have photos from it. They make fantastic sandwiches. They have all the music pictures on the wall. Like all the musicians from all the years, it's a great place. I'll have to come up with a name. I should pay more attention. Sorry out there.
I'm runs that place. On that one.
I will figure it out. Someone knows it. Someone in the chat knows it. Don, help me out.
Sandwich place downtown.
It's not downtown. It's out at one of the malls.
Downtown.
It's out at one of the malls.
Oh.
I took my whole
Rockneys?
What is it?
Rockneys?
No, I don't know if that's it. I took all my like a bunch of my cousins who live in Ohio came there, and I took them all there. There was another place too. We went. Erica Brown wanted to go to a great brewery. We went to a great brewery.
Oh, there's lots of good breweries. Yeah.
I'll come up with it and I'll post it on my X.
Because I'm drawing a blank. I don't. Especially with the music stuff on the walls. I would think I would remember that. But anyway.
Yeah.
So back to the
I have to check Lawrence Jackson's X feed. He used to have a photo. I used to be one of his banners. It maybe has changed since then. It has. Oh, well.
Fatheads?
No.
No.
I'll figure it out.
I don't know. Up the street from Fatheads, I went to this like Irish.
Irish Exchange? Or Mulligan's.
It might have been Mulligan's. Yeah, that was a really good. I had a good Reuben there.
Yeah, Mulligan's is cool. Very Irish. Lots of cool stuff.
Yeah. But there's plenty of places, no shortage. You'll have all kinds of fun things to do, and many fun people to do them with. We'll all be hanging out, and if you want to find somebody to eat with, it's not hard. I'm always hungry.
Yeah. Well, and we always go to Conestoga's, a big one downtown.
Yep.
That's a personal favorite of a lot of folks. George's, of course, that's another good one. Arcadia, a lot of cool old school downtown. Been there forever. Tons of grease dripping off the sandwiches, fries, etc., which is always good for us to get us through the weekend. So, for those who treat the weekend as a long lost frat party reunion,
as many do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So we're getting close to the close here. We got about 10 minutes left. We've gotten some good questions and comments in the chat here, but I kind of want to wrap this up with talking about for first timers, for the newbies, where they stay, because right now, the big draw is the DoubleTree downtown, but
Mhm.
eventually that will fill up because that's what happens. That's the first hotel to fill. Where where's the best place to stay? Where are the options? We've got kind of we're talking about like a a new hotel that's come up.
Mhm.
Bob, talk about the Holiday Inn, why that's important, and then let's talk a little bit about hotels.
Yeah. So as Nate said, the DoubleTree is the host hotel. That's where you'll check in when you come in for the weekend, and everybody who's been there at least once knows that. But as Nate said, it'll fill up quick, and it is very convenient for Friday night because you can walk down the street to the Centennial Plaza for the Friday night kickoff party, which is great. Um, and then in the past, we used to do the Saturday night party at the stadium, but lack of choices of food and drinks has forced us to move that to the M Bar slash Jerseys up in the mall area. And conveniently across the street from those restaurant bars is the Holiday Inn, which is a very nice hotel. They have their own bar and restaurant. I think it's called the 20 something 20.
21.
But the reason why is because they have 20 craft beers on tap at all times. So that is very cool for you craft beer lovers. So that is a nice place to stay. You can see it on the website and go to the Expedia link there and get that booked. We try to get a rate from them. Everybody knows we've had troubles with the rates from the hotels because of Hall of Fame stuff. But anyway, great place to stay. And as we mentioned before, the Icebreaker poker tournament is across the street. Draft night out is across the street. The Saturday party is across the street from Holiday Inn. So it's actually more convenient than the DoubleTree. Not that we don't want you to stay at the DoubleTree. It's a cool place. But if you are in that Scott Fish Bowl group and you like to roam downtown Canton, the DoubleTree is the place to be. There are not a lot of places to roam in the mall area in the evenings outside of those two places. But still a great hotel. There's also little hotels around there. Of course, Hotel Hill is right down the street. And so everything is conveniently placed. That's not a problem. But if you like a quieter hotel, a little bit away from that, Bob loves the Embassy Suites. And as you all know, if you watched Twitter recently, Keith is a bartender at the Embassy Suites. So if anything, Saturday night or, or maybe Friday night after the Friday party, we'll all drive up to Embassy Suites and just completely overwhelm him at the bar. I'll make sure he's working either one, or maybe we'll do Sunday night. One of the two. We're going to do it. We're going to go see Keith. But anyway, he's at the at the Embassy Suites. Really nice place as well. So, Bob, I know you stayed in a few of these places. Any other your thoughts?
So I like last year was my first year at the DoubleTree. I usually stay somewhere on the outskirts.
Mm-hmm.
And the embassy, the original Embassy Suites was the original one where I stuck for a long time, and a lot of the old original, King's Classic folks stayed there and continued. But the DoubleTree last year was a great experience. I mean, I've gone down there and done the whole downtown experience, but staying at the DoubleTree seems to be like that's been my favorite so far. But we'll see where I end up this year. As Bob Long knows, I don't book my hotel until about 20 minutes before I leave. And so I'll be calling him to find me a room, and hopefully it'll work well.
I save one for Bob every year. Yes, Bob, I have a room saved for you.
There you go. Oh, yeah. I've been staying up over by Hotel Hill just about every year. And, for those people that haven't gone, we're talking about different areas in Canton, but realistically, we're talking about the difference of like 4 exits on the highway.
Everything is 10 minutes from each other.
Yeah. If you do come in with a vehicle, honestly, I would probably not want to stay at the DoubleTree because,
Right.
like, where do you even park? I know they have
That's the tough part
that
downtown.
lot, but I think I don't know if you have to pay for it or what,
I think
but
if you stay there, you don't. But
Yeah,
I
no,
no.
mean,
like I don't know that you do when you stay there, but like I mean, I think it's fine if you're staying there. There's the garage right over off to the side that's
mhm.
reasonably priced either way. The Embassy
Yep.
Suites obviously you park there. The Comfort Inn you park there. So I mean,
Holiday Inn's got plenty of
Holiday Inn
parking.
same
Yeah.
kind of thing. So that's probably a little easier if you drive in than the DoubleTree because you are kind of
Mhm.
downtown and in the middle of things. So yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, no, and I've stayed over there. It's a little bit cheaper. If you are coming on a budget, there's one of the I think the Quality Inn I stay at is like
Mhm.
79 a night. So, big difference from the
But do
249
you
at
get a
the DoubleTree.
cookie?
I don't get a cookie. No,
No,
I
you don't get a
I'll
cookie.
sneak you
don't.
one out, Nate.
There
It'll
you
be
go.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that. No.
Yeah, I
But
think DoubleTree this year is 139, 145,
is it?
which is still a pretty decent rate. For Hall of Fame weekend, it's 399. Just to let you
Oh
know.
yeah. No. They jack up the price
Oh yeah, big time.
for that. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the questions I've got. Any last
Yeah.
minute words? Mr. Harris, anything you'd like to impart of wisdom for our audience?
I'm short on wisdom, but high on enthusiasm. Go check out the expo. It's a really good time. You'll meet a lot of like-minded people who will be warmly embracing you and welcome you into the expo community. Because man, it's just like that's you'll be surprised how level the playing field is. Nobody looks at anybody any differently than anybody
No.
else. Nobody thinks they're above anybody. I am you, you are me, and come have a good time with us.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob, for coming on and sharing your OG knowledge on the expo. Everybody who listened out there, thank you for sharing your comments, questions, and we're going to keep doing this. Hopefully, every couple of weeks on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. We don't have a confirmation yet, but we're working on Scott Fish. But if not, we'll get somebody. I be sure that. So again, Bob, thank you. Honored to always have you be a part of this, and looking forward to, as always, to see you in August.
Yeah, appreciate it. Look forward to it.
Yeah, and for those watching, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow our channel. There's plenty of content going out. You'll see there's even shorts being cut, little clips. We're trying to do everything we can to just grow the knowledge, grow the reach, and I I truly believe that the more people that just hear about the expo, they're going to come. They're going to have an amazing time, and they're going to come back every single year. So I truly love this event. That's why I got involved with Bob here, and that's why we're doing this show. It's so come back every other Tuesday. We're going to be doing it at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll have different guests with us, and we'll do this leading up to the event. And get your questions answered. Just talk expo in the chat, interact with us. I mean, we're here to have a good time and just further the knowledge of what the expo is about. And maybe Bob, you should reach out to Froton and we can get a wiffle ball game going on during this. So
There you go. I'm
As
sure
soon
he'd
as
be
he's
happy
done
to do it.
karaoke.
Yeah, right. Karaoke or wiffle ball. Fruiton's in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate everyone that's in the chat and watching. And with that, we will wrap this up and we will see you all next time.
Thanks.
Take care. Thanks.